Support for the ATL Arts Collective comes from listeners like you. If you value in-depth coverage of Atlanta's creative scene, you can help keep us going. Your donation directly funds our production, research, and reporting. Visit atlartscollective.com and click Support to contribute.
Welcome to the ATL Arts Collective, powered by ArtsATL. I'm Kim Drobes, and this is your home for stories from Atlanta's art scene with reporting from ArtsATL writers, conversations with artists, and voices from across the creative community. Each week, I'll be joined by a rotating co-host, someone you may already know, or someone you're about to be very glad you met. And today we get to welcome Summer Evans. She's a local freelance journalist, photographer, and multimedia storyteller. Her background is in public radio, and she's built her career covering Atlanta's arts, culture, and community. She's currently working with Rough Draft Atlanta as a freelance social media content producer. But perhaps most importantly, Summer is a stellar human being. I had the pleasure of working with her for about 5 years on WABE's City Lights and the City Lights Collective. Summer Evans, I'm so happy you're here.
It is so good to be here. It feels like a nice reunion.
It really does. It really does. And in just a little bit, we're going to talk to Summer a little more. I have many questions about what you've been up to. But for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming up today. In just a moment, Summer will discuss American Sublime, the new Amy Sherald exhibition at the High Museum. Plus, the director of GSU's creative writing program, Josh Russell, talks about his new essay collection, Commonplaces.
Later, we'll hear about one Roswell, Georgia actor who's found her way to Broadway, and then ArtsATL executive editor Shane Harrison stops by with his picks for this week's Best Bets. But first, let's go dancing. The new exhibition at the Sun ATL by Atlanta artist Anna Jensen is a profound visual response to the songs of Georgia Music Hall of Fame inductee and Drivin' and Cryin's frontman Kevn Kinney, who also happens to be Jensen's husband. What began as a 60th birthday surprise video during the COVID-19 lockdown has grown into a monumental project. 100 songs reimagined by 100 artists, each with a corresponding painting for the track. Jensen produced the whole affair and started Tasty Goody Records in order to put the music out into the wild. It's truly a love letter for the ages. To celebrate, Kevn Kinney is performing amongst Jensen's paintings at the Sun ATL tonight, with special surprise guests, and a few tickets are still available. When Kim recently went to the exhibition and talked with Jensen and Kinney, Jensen began by explaining the project's origin story in more detail.
Another hobo's washed out to 5 o'clock. I fear I'll never find him.
Kevn and I were traveling to Nashville for him to do a song covering a Sylvain song for a tribute for him after he had passed away. And it was just so special. And I had the idea that, it's a shame that most of the tributes happen after the person's no longer here to witness. So I knew that Kevn's 60th was approaching. And so it just crossed my mind it would be cool to do something like that for him to experience the, acknowledgement and the appreciation. It was like full on COVID-ish time. So everyone was stuck at home and they all had recording equipment set up for live streams and Facebook Live and all that stuff. So I didn't feel guilty to reach out and ask for people to send in little video snippets. And it was over 3 hours that I presented to him in a long video that made him very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. The only part of me that could appreciate it was the part of me that it kind of is distant from who I am. I like to hear all the time the performing me and the me. I was very humbled, I guess. My humility meter was on 11.
I think it put him into a bit of a shock. I don't even think he remembers the video.
I do remember it very well because it was shocking. And it was beautiful. I loved it. And then it was over. And then it isn't over.
And then it started.
Then my friends
and it really
say, you know what, Anna, you need to get all these people's phone numbers. You know what you need to do is you need to have them record them and make albums. And I thought, okay, we gonna do one of those? And she says, no, I was thinking about doing 100. Mm-hmm. As 100.
Like your father, like the others. You don't know me, you don't know me, you don't know me at all.
I think once I just started to formulate the ideas about the proper compilation, I just was trying to pare it down, but he has so many really important songs, and so 100 was like the best I could do at capping it, and we're still leaving out a lot. So I don't know, it just seemed like a good even number, but I don't know that I knew at that point that I was going to have to do a painting for every song, so that complicated things. And so I also didn't realize that I was going to have to do quite so much myself. Like, I thought, surely with this level of talent and material being so amazing, like, someone will be clamoring to put it out and it's going to make all kinds of money, which would make things easy because then I could hire help or, at least be fueled by the enthusiastic response or whatever. But it turned out no one wants to put out a compilation series because they don't make money. So, yeah, I had to start my own label. I didn't know how any of this worked a few years ago, and now I know way too much.
One of her biggest champions is this guy. He's a good friend of ours. His name's Lenny Kaye. He is a guitar player, Patti Smith, and he put together this really famous compilation called Nuggets. It's a compilation of psychedelic music from the 60s, and that came out, and it got cut out. Nobody wanted it. And then it got repressed again. Then it didn't do that well either. And now it's like the 50th year, and he's doing concerts all over the world for it. He's just kind of like, encouraging to Anna. He loves his project. He loves Anna, and he's like, just be patient, because the good thing about it is she's created something that will last for 20, 30 years. It'll still be a viable thing, and also as these people get more and more famous, some of them might get super famous. Some of them might commit crimes. I don't know what makes people infamous or famous. Anna has put together some great charities. There's 4 specific charities.
Yes, the point is for it to benefit these charities.
And also the musicians all keep their
masters.
So they can do what they want. And a more unscrupulous company would have said, give me all your things, and then we own the masters. And then
a lot of Kevin's friends wanted us to do that because this was supposed to be looking out for him too, but
I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't need much. I need bird feeders and a couple non-alcoholic beers. I'm happy. But also, Driving Crying is a very unknown band. We're a popular regional, Southeast regional band. We don't tour the world really anymore.
So, yeah, the goal is to lift up his songbook, just increase awareness, celebrate all the artists that are involved as well. And Kevin has ideas about how we're going to continue to do that beyond this, like maybe do a podcast ourselves where each week we talk about a different song on the project and the artist. And, because some of these people go back with Kevin 40 years, some are newer friends, some are people that I just love their music. It's been really neat because I've gotten to interact with some of my musical favorites, and, that was scary at first, and it's still mind-blowing, but
very scary. When she tells me, she's like, I just got off the phone with X.
With fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like terrified of reaching out to half of the. She's got Gordon Gano from the Violent Femmes.
Well, I landed Kevn Kinney, so I know how to talk to.
Well, that was a fluke.
People love Kevin, so he doesn't realize how much fandom there is out there among the music community. So besides audience, there, he's kind and generous, and so he leaves his campground cleaner than he found it. And so this has been challenging to our household because he's just ready to
I
have
like to
his
still
wife
play
back,
songs.
his life back.
I like to play music.
And he likes to move forward. So I'm shoving his past in his face constantly and also reinterpreting it like visually in my way. So sometimes I will ask for his advice for a starting point. And it's fun to kind of see like his sketch that he'll do of what he had in mind. But I didn't want them to be, super personal because I want them to be about the songs. And I would, in particular, try to make things personal to Kevin. I mean, I actually am enjoying this process of producing a project like this and, being kind of in charge. And I do have a lot of opinions, and it's good to be able to see them through.
They poured a bucket of tar on top of a flower. Somehow I knew they'd try to find it, defy it, to buy it. Oh, let's go dancing. Oh, let's go dancing. Said the firefly to the hurricane.
Each record starts with a different version of Let's Go Dancing.
And I think 90% of the people came back were like, I want to do Let's Go Dancing.
It's a David and Goliath song. It has a really great message.
I did play it for this friend of mine worked with us at Island Records, and his name is Grady. Anyway, I saw him on tour. I went and saw Emmylou Harris, and in between she went to give the band a break, and he came running over to me, and I was like, "Oh, what do you do?" He goes, "I am her drummer." He's like, turns out that he's like one of the world's greatest drummers. Anyway, he said he played it for. He said, "I played your record for Emmylou," and she came backstage later. It was like festival or whatever, and he said, "I said Emmylou." He said, "Emmylou, this is Kevin." And so he wrote that song that you were digging on. And she goes, "Oh, that's great." She goes, "Disco dancing."
She said, "Yeah, I love your song, Disco Dancing."
So I was like, "Yes, ma'am. You do not correct the Queen." You go, "I am changing the name of that song tomorrow."
Yep.
Disco.
We will have to do a disco version. That'll be my next project. Disco versions of
Emmylou, we can tell people though, Emmylou will not be here tonight. Well, the only thing I'm guaranteeing is I will be here with my acoustic guitars, and I'm going to be singing some songs. And then Anna has invited some of the artists. Whoever shows up will be sing a song or two, and kind of it'll be a kind of a shindig hootenanny art opening.
I think we can say some of the people that we are pretty sure are coming.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain Abe Partridge will be here, who is an amazing singer-songwriter from Alabama, the Alabama astronaut himself.
Tonight?
Wow. Huh? Yeah. And then the Brower sisters, they are a local teenage group, twins. They're amazing. They're up and coming and they're still in school and stuff. But who else? There's someone that we can't say by name, but I'm allowed to give little sneaky hints that the person might wear some costume makeup. They're of the taller variety of human. He or she is incredible and hilarious. And he's our friend. They're our friend.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Let's go dancing. Let's go dancing. Let's go dancing. How many times?
More information about the Let's Go Dancing exhibition, as well as Kenny's performance tonight with special guest, is at thesunatl.com.
That's right. And that conversation was actually part of a much longer conversation. And unfortunately, we had to cut it for time. But fear not, on Monday of next week, we'll release the full uncut interview as a bonus episode. Kevin and Anna are absolutely delightful together. But back to tonight's show at the Sun ATL. Doors are at 5. The music starts at 6. And it's going to be a very special way to enjoy Anna's art and Kevin's music. It would be a pity to miss it. That's my attempt at a secret hint of one of tonight's surprise guest performers. All right, Summer Evans, let's take a beat and catch up because first of all, I miss you and we all want to know what you've been up to. And I heard you have a new art project.
Yep, art short for Arthur. I had our son February 1st, so he's now over 3 months old. It's been wonderful, balancing and now having 2 kids and doing freelance work. I've really enjoyed this time and getting to kind of slow down with both of them.
Oh, that's so lovely. And how is big sister getting along with little brother?
Judy's been really, really good. I thought she might be jealous since she was an only child for 2 years, but she really has grown to love him. And like first thing she says every morning is, "Where's younger brother? Where's younger brother?" And and she's really gentle with him. It's been really cool to see their relationship blossom and just see his face light up when he sees her walk in the room.
Oh, I love hearing that because you did confide in me once that that was not your reaction
Nope.
when your little sister was born.
Nope. I might have pushed her over in the bassinet when she was like 3 months old. So, and might have spat on her a couple times. So, but now we're best friends. so, so they've got on a better foot at the start than
Yes,
we did.
indeed. So I know you're freelancing with Rough Draft right now. What a great match to let you still be a stay-at-home mom, but also keep your
Mhm.
journalism career intact. Are you enjoying what you're doing for them?
Love it. I absolutely love it. When the show at City Lights ended, I reached out to several editors in chief, and Beth McKibben was one of them. And I just said, "Hey, I'm looking for freelance work. I don't know what's going to happen next." And she said that they were looking for someone to do their social media, and they wanted to tap into doing these daily reels that was kind of a shortened version of their newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday. And I was like, I did some social media for City Lights, as you know, but I wasn't an expert, but I'm a millennial. I was like, I can do it. I can figure it out. I know how to work Canva. And so that's been really fun. It's early mornings. I'm waking up between like 5, 6 a.m., but gets me
Oh,
out of bed. It takes a couple hours to create, and then I get to be creative with it. Like, what's the most important news story? How can I make it enticing for a millennial Gen Z audience or people that consume their news mostly through Instagram Reels or Facebook? And it's been a lot of fun, and I've gotten to curate some other things for the Rough Draft social media page.
oh, like what?
So they do a family meal newsletter weekly. Beth McKibben does that, and so I create the Instagram carousels from what she puts out weekly in her newsletter. Every Saturday morning, we do what we call a rough cut, and it's between Beth McKibben, Sarah Sedgy, and Sammy Purcell, and they kind of rotate. And it's kind of just like a hot take on a restaurant they tried that week, and
Mm.
they'll have some photos, and I'll make it more humorous. It'll be light and funny, or it will be, hey, this is where I would go this weekend, and it spotlights a lot of local restaurants, some food that they would get from there, or an event coming up. And Sammy Purcell, who does like the theater and film reviews, she'll do her hot take after she sees a screener, like, okay, I just went and saw The Devil Wears Prada. This is my hot take. And it's, usually just a minute. I'll kind of edit that and post it on Saturday mornings.
It's funny you mentioned The Devil Wears Prada because your publisher, Keith Pepper, recently posted something where a friend of his had mentioned that they had seen that movie. And I guess I haven't seen it yet, but I guess the movie really highlights everything that's so bonkers in the media industry right now.
Mhm.
And had reached out to Keith and was like, "Oh, I think I understand now." And he's like, "Yeah, it's rough out here."
Right. Yeah. And I think his recent publisher note was just about that. So very timely.
Yeah. So aside from working with Rough Draft, are you still doing your creative photography?
Yes, I just recently participated in a women's owned business market to hard launch my Summer Evans LLC, which
Hmm.
is both freelance journalism as well as photography. And I got to set up a photo booth and take headshots of people that were coming through the vendor market, as well as sell some of my landscape photographs. And also, people could book me for future sessions.
So your love of art and photography has always been at the forefront. It was such a great match for you to work with Lois on City Lights and then for all of us to get to work together. So when it came time for you to pick a story for this show this week, what attracted you to the new Amy Sherald exhibition?
I know I mostly covered photo exhibitions for City Lights, but I kind of wanted to step out of that and do something a little bit different, a different medium. And back in 2022, I went to the High Museum for my birthday, and I got to see Amy Sherald's portrait of Michelle Obama, and I was just blown
Mm.
away by it. I mean, it's life size. I mean, so it's just in your face, but just stunning. So when I saw that she was coming back, I thought, okay, I can't miss this opportunity to go see this as well as cover it.
Well, thank you for bringing us that story, and we're going to hear it in just a minute. But first, what started as 10-cent photocopies in a college library has transformed into a lifetime of capturing the world's strange and wondrous connections. Georgia State professor and author Josh Russell's new essay collection, Commonplaces, explores the intersections of life's challenges with everyday beauty. Literary critic Rachel Wright has more.
In college at the University of Maryland, Atlanta author Josh Russell used to make photocopies of poems that he read in literary magazines at the library. He couldn't afford to buy everything he read, but for 10 cents at the library photocopier, he could keep them forever. And, he says, he has.
I still have this 3-ring binder that has a lot of these poems that I had photocopied back then.
Now the director of the creative writing program and a distinguished professor at Georgia State University, Russell says he was keeping a commonplace book without knowing it. An invention of the medieval age, the commonplace book typically contains recollections, copied text, ideas, quotes, recipes, advice, sketches, and ephemera, anything the owner wants to remember or return to later. They've recently been popular among young people interested in a return to analog technologies. Russell's commonplace book habit never ended, and his new chapbook of flash essays, Commonplaces, is the result. Covering Russell's counterculture youth and young adulthood, followed by his colon cancer diagnosis and treatment, plus the pandemic era, each essay ponders what connects us to art, and through art, to each other. Each is dedicated to a specific artist, thinker, or loved one, with titles like For Adorno, For Grandma Ruth, and For George Friedrich Handel.
I didn't set out to write a chronological sequence, and I didn't write them chronologically. They were about art and artists that inspire me. What was happening is I would be reading Adorno and I would think, oh, I remember when my dad would talk about Adorno and the saxophone.
Russell would jot down connections as he made them and polish them later. The essays in Commonplaces are laser-focused on the quotidian, even during extreme times. In For Cy Twombly, for instance, Russell juxtaposes the torso his surgeon drew on a notepad to indicate the incisions he'd make in Russell's body during his colon cancer operation, with the experience of going to the Met to see Twombly's deceptively casual painting, Dutch Interior. Here, Russell writes of the surgeon, but it applies just as easily to Twombly.
The ease of his doodles and scribbles and casual tick marks was practiced and precise. Happenstance? There is no happenstance.
Comparing these disparate situations side by side, Russell explains, allowed him to defamiliarize the situation, focusing purely on its strangeness.
Everybody has those moments where they're talking to a doctor.
He adds that people instantly recognize those kinds of abstract conversations about their own body, but might not have the time or energy to digest them on their own. Russell considers the pandemic years with a mixture of nostalgia and shock. In the brief, poignant For Anna Pavlova, he sits in his car outside his daughter's ballet school in December 2020, commiserating with a friend via text, while inside, his daughter rehearses The Dying Swan. Then, his daughter sends him a video from the studio where she's dancing. Russell writes,
On point, she glides across the room. She's lovely and graceful and perfect. When at the dance's end, she's tucked into a tight shape like a wounded bird, the ballet mistress says, Don't fidget when you're dead.
Perhaps counterintuitively, he says, the more common an experience, the more important it is to highlight individual context and perspectives, as in For Anna Pavlova. Russell's presentation of those ultra-personal experiences highlights bittersweet moments of beauty that transcend the pandemic's darkness in a way that many of its survivors can recognize. Moreover, the pandemic essays are suffused with an odd sense of nostalgia, which Russell says allowed him to defamiliarize the lockdown experience.
Nostalgia provides this lens through which you can look back on things and single out the moments that were most interesting. It also, the distance I think that we now have from that time allows me to make connections that I wasn't able to make at the time.
Making those connections helped Russell parse the strangeness of the lockdown era and the isolation of cancer, giving his experiences meaning that he could share with other people who felt similarly alienated.
I think that reading about people's specific trials, even if they're not exactly the trials we're suffering, is a way to kind of feel part of something larger.
Commonplaces is out now from the Diagram and New Michigan Press. For the ATL Arts Collective, I'm Rachel Wright.
You can read Rachel's review on artsatl.org.
All right, it's time to hear about the art that has been living rent-free in Summer's mind lately. It's painter Amy Sherald's American Sublime exhibition, currently on view at the High Museum. While the world may know the artist for her iconic portrait of Michelle Obama, Atlanta knows her as one of our own. Born in Columbus and trained right here at Clark Atlanta University, Sherald's return to the High feels like a full circle moment, especially since this is the final stop of the exhibition's national tour. Summer recently went to the High to see the exhibition and speak about the work with the museum's assistant curator of modern and contemporary art, Angelica Arbeles.
So Amy Sherald is no stranger to the High Museum. From receiving the David Driscoll Prize in 2018 to her portrait of former First Lady Michelle Obama being exhibited here in 2022. And I thankfully had the pleasure of seeing it myself on my 28th birthday, which was a joy. Now, with this being the largest exhibition of her work and the final stop on its tour, how does bringing it here resonate for Atlanta?
American Sublime coming to the High Museum and to Atlanta is a wonderful homecoming for Amy Sherald. If you understand or know anything about Amy's trajectory as an artist, you'll see that her path as an artist is pretty much a journey along the East Coast. And while this exhibition began in San Francisco at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, it has since traveled to the Whitney Museum of American Art, to the Baltimore Museum of American Art, and now it's coming to the High. It's a survey of her work, but a wonderful retrospective into a lot of the places and many lives that Amy has lived. And so to have it end in Atlanta feels very special, I'm sure, not only to her, but also to the High, given the connections that we've already had to Amy, as you just described.
Like a homecoming, because she was born in Columbus, Georgia, and then she went to two HBCUs, right, in Atlanta?
Correct. She went to Clark Atlanta University and Spelman College. Those were very formative experiences for her. She studied under an artist named Arturo Lindsay, who was just one of many mentors that Amy was able to meet and learn from throughout her development as an artist.
For those unfamiliar with her work, she paints portraits that center on everyday Black Americans, and I read that she makes the images she wants to see in the world. How does she redefine or even expand traditional American realism through her portraits?
That's a great question. I think Amy Sherald has really been a diligent student of art history, not only American art history, but global art history as well. I think she's even described herself as an American realist. In kind of formulating her own practice and artistic style, I think she's recognized gaps in representation, acknowledging that there are certain people that continually have been represented in these canons, I would say. And to acknowledge that lack, she started thinking about her own upbringing in the American South, who she sees in the world. I think she is a very insightful thinker around the way images circulate and the power that they have. And so in terms of expanding not only her thinking, her practice, but also just what she's seen in the world, I think it starts from this place of what haven't I seen and where could this gap be addressed?
Her portraits often feature grayscale skin tones and bold, simplified backgrounds. How did these choices shape how viewers engage with her subjects?
So I think Amy's decision to employ this grisaille effect, which is essentially painting in grayscale, is her way of trying to portray her figures as people and not have the conversations around her work be marginalized. And I think she understands how certain forms of art making, certain themes, certain subjects can be calcified in their meaning depending on what discourses that they participate in. And so for Amy, to veer away from naturalistic brown tones towards grayscale skin tones, it was a conceptual decision as well as an aesthetic one. She's even admitted that when she first started experimenting with this, she found it aesthetically very interesting and engaging. But then the more that she started thinking about conceptually what was driving this decision, it was really just to understand how race is viewed in this country, how race is talked about, and even committed to an image. And so in order for her work to just not be about race, the grisaille offered a way to really connect viewers to the figure's humanity first, rather than having race be the starting off point.
Yeah, the aesthetic, it does pop so well against her vibrant backgrounds. It really makes you notice the subject even more so. And even like their facial expression rather than their skin tone first. In this exhibit, works like her portrait of Breonna Taylor and Michelle Obama appear alongside more everyday subjects. How does that juxtaposition speak to the breadth and complexity of Black American identity?
I think Amy's always tried to locate the extraordinary in the ordinary, and accepting commissions like the Michelle Obama portrait and the Breonna Taylor portrait. I think while these figures have become a part of our history that is incredibly undeniable, sometimes triumphant, sometimes very difficult, Amy's approach to these portraits has always tried to keep in mind that these are actual people. The range and depth of American life that she depicts really understands that dynamic, that sort of push and pull between the ordinary and the extraordinary.
American Sublime was withdrawn from the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery last year amid concerns over one of the works. It's going to be on display here at the High. I was wondering if you could talk about the piece in question, Transforming Liberty, and what Sherald was exploring with that piece.
With this work in particular, I think Amy was really thinking about how certain groups of people in the United States are confronting erasure and unparalleled scrutiny from our governments, from social, political entities. And Transforming Liberty continues her project of thinking about how American identity is shaped and what it claims and how those claims maybe don't play out in the ways that they think they do. And so when we think of, the Statue of Liberty, which is the symbol that Amy calls upon in this work, we think of all forms of freedom for all different kinds of people that have come in and out of this country. To use a non-binary trans femme individual as the model for this particular work, I think Amy's trying to point to this sort of contradiction between this country thinking that it is understanding of freedom is for everyone, but in certain cases it's not.
So as I was looking at these portraits, I was thinking, are these portraits of specific people, or are they like amalgamations of people that she knows or has seen? Talk about that process.
Visitors of this exhibition will really get a sense of how Amy works, and her process actually begins with real people she meets out in the world. She describes this process as being very kind of intuitive and almost happening by chance. She insists that she's always looking, but sometimes she says that there are maybe months that go by where she doesn't find someone that she finds particularly drawn to in terms of her work. And so when she does find those individuals, she approaches them, explains that she is an artist, and even shows them examples of her work and asks if they'd be willing to come to her studio where she can photograph them and then use that photograph as the sketch for the paintings that you will see in the show.
The exhibit spans nearly 2 decades of her work. How will viewers see her portraiture evolve over that time? And is it exhibited in a way that shows it from like 2007 all the way to 2024? How do you have that set up?
So the exhibition is organized, we're describing it as like a loose chronology, but the loose chronology is established with trying to have viewers leave the exhibition understanding the arc of her artistic development. So the exhibition begins with her early work, and in that section get a sense of how Amy was experimenting not only with the grisaille, but also the textured backgrounds that she created using turpentine to kind of give this very dreamlike or surreal background for the figures in the work. And then you kind of move out into other works that take us from the early 2000s to the early 2010s. And this is where you see the portrait of Michelle Obama. And then you get a sense of when Amy starts introducing the solid background or even a landscape in the background. And that takes us all the way up to the 2020s where the work changes in scale. It becomes more monumental while still kind of holding on to some of these artistic approaches that she developed earlier in her career. So I would expect that viewers will walk away from this exhibition understanding who Amy Sherald is, how she developed as an artist, and be able to trace that pretty clearly throughout the exhibition.
Angelica, thank you so much for speaking with me about Amy Sherald's exhibit, American Sublime.
Thank you so much, Summer. It was a pleasure.
Summer, that was a wonderful interview. How did it feel getting back on the mic?
Oh my gosh, I loved getting back in the saddle, and I was very nervous because I'm like, wow, I haven't done an interview in 6 or 7 months now. And as soon as I sat in front of Angelica and we were in the room, it all went back into place. She was wonderful. She was very nervous too because she had never done a radio interview before.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't tell. She was wonderful to talk with and just really explain the exhibition. I really enjoyed it. I miss doing radio interviews more than I thought.
Well, you can contribute to our show anytime you want.
Thank you so much.
In just a moment, ArtsATL executive editor Shane Harrison joins us with his top picks for the weekend. Back in a minute.
Support comes from the Atlanta Opera, presenting Richard Wagner's Twilight of the Gods, the sweeping and unforgettable conclusion to the legendary Ring Cycle, sung in German with English supertitles. This Tomers Walloon production stars Stefan Winke and Lisa Lindstrom, reprising their roles from last season's production of Siegfried, on stage May 30th through June 7th at Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center. More information and tickets are at atlantaopera.org.
Welcome back to the ATL Arts Collective. I'm Kim Drobes here with our special guest co-host, Summer Evans. Hi, Summer.
Hey, Kim. I love this next story. Jessi Kirtley never missed performing in a school musical from elementary to high school. And now the Roswell native is living her dream and performing on Broadway. Theater correspondent Sally Fuller brings us her story.
In mid-April, the Cobb Energy Center was filled with musical theater students, eagerly waiting to hear their name called at the Georgia High School Musical Theater Awards. Broadway star and Roswell High School alum Jessi Kirtley was once in their shoes. At the time, she thought she had no chance of winning since she had forgotten her lyrics in front of the award judges.
Of course, I was so nervous. I remember during my judging day, I just forgot all the words. Just completely forgot all the words. Didn't remember any of the words to Practically Perfect from Mary Poppins, which I just played. So I was I literally remember looking at them being like, can I start that over? And they were like, okay. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to win that because I definitely need to know the words. But apparently that was fine.
It turns out it was more than fine. Kirtley left the Georgia High School Musical Theater Awards, nicknamed the Schulers, with a trophy for Best Leading Actress. Today, she looks back on that win as just the boost she needed to chase her dream of making it to the Great White Way. A Roswell native, Kirtley began her performing career at Mountain Park Elementary School. Her interest in theater was sparked even earlier, at about age 3, when she watched her brother perform on stage.
I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This needs to be a part of my life. I would run around the house. There's still videos of me that my mom posts on my birthday every year in fairy wings, like singing all of the Tinkerbell stuff. I had just discovered like the thing I love so much. And so that's where it started.
She trained almost exclusively in Roswell, from summer theater camps at the Recreation and Parks Department to dance lessons at Talbot Yilmaz's School of Dance.
I would just bug my parents, be like, can I do the musical? Can I get singing lessons? Can I get dancing lessons? And sometimes it was yes, sometimes it was no. Most of the time, the school musicals were a yes, because I could just stay after school a couple extra hours, and, you know, it didn't really cost any money, just kind of stay after school and hang out. So because of that, that was like my core learning of theater was the after school musicals. I did them every single year from kindergarten through my senior year of high school. I didn't miss a single one. I never missed a musical, from Mountain Park to Crabapple to Roswell High School.
Her Schuler Award for Mary Poppins came when she played the iconic nanny at Roswell High School as a junior, earning her a trip to New York City. There, she competed against students from across the country in the National Jimmy Awards. Produced by the Broadway League, the governing body over Broadway's Tony Awards, Kirtley says the Jimmys were a fun, if intense, experience.
That's really intense. Those are really intense. Those are like, because then you have like the top kids from the entire country all competing for, now we're kind of competing for like money and like scholarships. And now it's like not just a trophy and an opportunity. It's like, oh, we want this really bad. That is a lot more intense. The days are really long. It's pretty like cutthroat in a way. I don't know if that's the right word, but like the training and the feedback is really intense, and there's a lot of eyes on you.
She and the other 100 or so students spent over a week of long days receiving training from recognizable Broadway names and learning new material for the televised awards show. Dear Evan Hansen's star Ben Platt hosted the 2019 ceremony at Broadway's Minskoff Theater, the home of The Lion King. Ultimately, Kirtley was chosen as a semifinalist and ended the night a finalist.
I made so many friends, again, that I've seen around here now. And it was a huge boost in my career. They were able to like connect me with casting directors and agents and stuff like that, or I even was going to college.
Wow.
So yeah, that alumni network is really huge to be a part of, and I'm really grateful for it.
Less than a year after graduating from Baldwin Wallace University, Kirtley's Broadway dreams came true when she joined the Broadway transfer of the hit West End musical Operation Mincemeat. At the time, she was an understudy, but she took over the role of Jean Leslie 3 months ago. Operation Mincemeat tells a wild true story from World War II in which a corpse was used to smuggle fake military plans for MI5. Kirtley is one of only 5 cast members in the whole show, each of whom jumps into multiple minor roles in addition to their primary role. So they are all constantly changing costumes and accents throughout the performance.
I get to sing a bunch of super fun songs, which is great. One of my bigger songs in the show is called All the Ladies, which is kind of like an unexpected, upbeat, pop sounding song that you don't really see coming in the first act.
So let's go roll up our sleeves and show our expertise. No more running side saddle. It's time for our battle to start. Get in the system. Rip it apart, all the ladies. On your marks, get set. Take this war for all you can get. This conflict's our best opportunity. Now the coast is clear and it's time to move on.
Yeah, yeah, and then the rest of the show, I just end up playing a bunch of different ensemble characters in addition. Sometimes it's just like one of the Cockney boys outside in the rain, or like Steve, which is like this assistant in Huelva who just keeps messing up where to put the briefcase. It's all a fun time. But yeah, we're changing character like every second, it feels like.
Though Broadway may seem a far cry from her after-school musical days, you could say she trained for the small cast format with her Roswell Theater friends.
It's exciting, and it's definitely like from home. Like, I've been very nostalgic about all of my like videos that I made with my friends in Roswell High School public theater, like just doing the shows that we could on with like 10 people doing a huge ensemble show. Just we would rehearse in Mountain Park, like just open fields when we had time off. And I was like, that was really like the foundation for why I love a show like Operation Mincemeat. That's just kind of like everybody's working together and doing what they can. Because that's really what it was like, you know, doing theater at home like that.
Jessi Kirtley is performing on Broadway in Operation Mincemeat through at least January, but she also mentioned that Atlanta audiences can see the tour at the Fox Theater in July 2027. The cast has not been announced yet, but who knows? Maybe Kirtley will join the tour and perform in Georgia again. For ATL Arts Collective, I'm Sally Fuller.
But we were born to lead.
You can read Sally's entire story on ArtsATL.org. And now it's time for ArtsATL's Best Bets with Executive Editor Shane Harrison. This week, his mix includes your chance to indulge in European films, some free jazz performances, and a bunch of neighborhood festivals.
If the weather cooperates, this will be the perfect weekend for those who enjoy experiencing music in the great outdoors. Virginia Highland will host its annual Porch Fest in the area adjacent to the intersection of North Highland and Virginia Avenues and south to around Drury Street. This year, the festival is going to be a ticketed format with advance tickets at just $15. Get them before you go because they'll be $20 at the gate. 100 bands and solo artists will perform on neighborhood porches on May 16th, but there will be pre-festival events too beginning on May 13th at Neighbors Pub, Atkins Park, and other local businesses. There will be daily musical performances at the annual Marietta Greek Festival too, which happens Friday, May 15th through Sunday, May 16th at Holy Transfiguration Greek Orthodox Church, along with dance performances and, of course, plenty of tasty Greek food. The music continues with free jazz performances in Atlanta City Parks with the Atlanta Jazz Festival's Neighborhood Jazz Series, with the Campbell Middle School Jazz Combo, directed by Olivia Kessler, on May 16th in Grant Park, and the Kennesaw State University Jazz Combo, directed by Trey Wright, on May 17th in West Manor Park. The Alpharetta Symphony wraps up its season with Tango for Two, as violinist Alice Hong joins for a Latin-inspired version of The Four Seasons by Vivaldi at Union Hill Park in Alpharetta on Saturday, May 16th. The evening also includes a new composition by pianist and composer Julio Cesar Barreto that combines elements from Afro-Cuban, Afro-Peruvian, Argentinian, Mexican, and Brazilian music. If you prefer to enjoy your music indoors, check out the blend of Southern rock, blues, and soul from Greenville, South Carolina's Marcus King Band. King and his band will bring their Darling Blue Part 2 tour to the Fox Theater on Saturday, May 16th. Book fans are in for a treat too, as Acapella Books presents an evening with Catherine Stockett, author of The Help, to celebrate the launch of her long-awaited new novel, The Calamity Club. The author will appear in conversation with Peter Biello, host of All Things Considered, at the Garden Club at Wild Heaven West End on May 14th. Each ticket includes a signed first edition of The Calamity Club. Foodies will enjoy a chat with food media personality, cookbook author, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's new food editor, Monte Carlo, and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Kim Severson at the Bookbird in Avondale Estates on May 17th. And you can spend an evening with David Sedaris at the Cobb Energy Center on May 19th. The National Public Radio contributor, humorist, and author will be live on stage following the release of his new children's book, Pretty Ugly. Alliance Française and Goethe Zentrum team up with the consulates of 12 European countries for the 4th edition of the European Film Festival of Atlanta from May 13th through May 16th at the Plaza and Terra Theaters. See films from Bulgaria and Belgium, Italy and Ireland, and many more. Explore the underground world with The Great Ant Sleepover, a new kids musical with lyrics by Christian Albright and music by Christian Magby on the Alliance Theater's new Goizueta stage for youth and families beginning May 16th and running through July 5th. The show is from the creative team behind the hit Alliance show The Incredible Book-Eating Boy. In addition to the outdoor music fests I mentioned earlier, there will be more wide-ranging family festivals this weekend too, including the Kirkwood Spring Fling, which spotlights the historic homes of the neighborhood, and the Duluth Spring Arts Festival, which will bring in more than 80 artists to the city's town center to display their work. For the ATL Arts Collective and ArtsATL, I'm Shane Harrison.
Shane actually curates an even longer list each week, and you can find all of his picks at artsatl.org.
Well, I hate to say this, but we have reached the end of the show. And before we go, Summer, I just want to give you a big thank you. This has been so joyful.
Same here, Kim. It feels like old times, and I am so happy that you asked me to be a part of this show.
Thank you again, Summer. And thank you for listening to the ATL Arts Collective. You can join us on social at Arts Atlanta and at ATL Arts Collective. Let's lift the artists shaping Atlanta together. Show up, spread the word, and be part of the community. You'll find pictures and links related to today's show at atlartscollective.com. And while you're there, consider buying the podcast a cup of coffee via our Patreon page. Your donation helps cover production costs, research reporting, and of course, coffee. Stay with us. I'll be right back with a look at what's coming up next week.
Support comes from Swan Coach House Gallery, welcoming you to their Summer Invitational. The annual celebration of craft and fine arts opens with a reception on May 28th and remains open through July 30th. More information is at swangallery.org.
Welcome back. While you're listening right now, please subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps others find the show. Our theme music is K. Michelle Dubois' Hit the Deck from her album Astral Heart, courtesy of Wicked Superb Records. Next week on the show, comedian and podcaster Joel Byers joins us as co-host, and he shares his recent interview with comedian Derek Stroop. Plus, a look at this year's MomoCon and a conversation with Adrian Jefferson about the upcoming Atlanta Jazz Festival. The ATL Arts Collective is part of the Wordplay Collective podcast family. Check out our sister show, In Pieces with Our Land. It's conversations with artist Our Land. Thank you again for listening. I'm Kim Drobes, and this is the ATL Arts Collective.